Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be doing just a simple ramble lecture type ordeal where I'm just going to want to really walk through and talk about how I would set up and organize a FL project. In today's context, we're going to be talking more about recording and mixing a track. Don't really have any examples pulled up, but we will cross those bridges as we come. I intend to also make this another version of this type of video that includes more of a creation of production for like a hip hop track or instrumentation more so, or like an electronic tracks, and there are many different genres. That all being said, um, we're in FL21. My name is Ethan or Seymour, whatever you may call me. And if you have any questions about this, please ask in the comments or reach out to me through social media. I'm always available wherever I can to answer any inquiries about FL. I'd love to answer anything. I want to be a use for you. That being said, first and foremost, what I always recommend is when you create a project, what you're going to want to do is you want to save, really before you do anything. And what the best way to do that is you go and File, Save. You could see that with the new FL21 version, it's not that new anymore, but still, it does go to the saving architecture of saving in folders as directories, which I think is awesome, because way back in the day, you used to have to make you would have to make zips if you wanted to like send files over or really reference any project files or assets that are in there. So you'll see here on this, you'll have a name field. Obviously, we're just going to name this recording. Probably not going to use this, but whatever. And then in here, you'll see below it, you'll see location, and then you will see your directory that it's being saved as to. It will always be, the default location is your users folder on your C drive, and then your public, which is your name. And this is all on Windows PC. And on Macintosh, I believe it's also saved in your documents, but I know their whole architecture is different. I'm a Mac hater. And then the image line folder, FL Studios, projects, boom, and that is where your directory of directories will be. You name it, it'll automatically name it as that folder. I like to use dashes and underscores. It's usually best practice to not use spaces in your names, but it should clean and parse the string with underscores. So I like to do create a new project folder. Also can do, as you go into information, is you can save in metadata, off rip. So if you know what the name of the song, especially if you're pulling in a session, I'll also show you another place where you can edit all of this information. But for now, we're just going to go. You have a web link, and you can do genre. There is a drop down. We're gonna not worry about this right now. Well, let's worry about it. Let's make a hip hop. Make it nice and simple, a little 2-track, and not to speak down on hip hop, but for the sake of brevity and explaining things, this will be the best for this. So, if I'm gonna sit here and make a template, we're gonna do a 2-track, right? What I want to figure out where my instrumental is going. I'm gonna drop that in. So what I like to do is I like to go to the track 1, different track. Track 1 is usually the best though for me. Track mode, audio track, and then associate it with an insert. Now let's just do 10. We're gonna right click it. We're gonna say rename instrumental, and it never hurts to, instrumental. I'm a little bit dumb, but it never hurts to take your time to organize and really get things clean and pretty the first time. Just take some time, make sure that works. This way you can know what everything is at a glance, and you have a framework to follow going forward. So we see this track right here, instrumental, named, cool, but what's interesting is when you go to the mixer channel, now it is associated to that mixer track. And any audio clip that you drag into here will co-align. So let me find a instrumental. I'm just going to look at my hard drive real quick and just drag something in. One moment. Okie dokie. So I just got a random instrumental. Don't remember the BPM, but I'm assuming it's like 140 just by looking at it. Yep. What I like to do is, if you see, when you drag in a file, you scroll all the way in and you scroll horizontally by holding Control and scroll wheel all the way to the beginning. You see this? This is going to mess with your timing. So, trim all the way up. Doesn't work enough. What you can do is we're going to push it a little far back. And if you go and look at like real like sessions, I say real, but all the music you're going to make is still real. Don't let anyone tell you it's not. They usually have a little bit of beforehand. It doesn't start right at one because you want a little bit of time just in case you need like a little or anything you need to add into it. And it really helps with this little offset thing going on here. So how I did that, how I added that marker is I selected the point, which is just the 2 right here, and I press Control and T. What that does is that adds a marker right there. You can also do that by just right-clicking and clicking Add Marker. I'm going to right-click it, that marker we just added where it says Auto. What we're going to do is we're going to say Action Start. So now the track will start right here. Not over here, but right here. Okay? What we can do is, now that we have that little bit of time, we can scroll it over and we can shift it without being on the grid by holding the Alt key. And clicking and dragging. Boom. Now it's on time. But if you can tell, it seems to me as this is going to be a little loud. Once we start adding vocals and such, we're going to need room. So let's plan for that now. What we're going to do in the instrumental track is, first and foremost, I like to right click it and press separator, both sides, just so I can visually see it. Oh, this is this right here. And instead of messing with this fader, I don't like to use this fader. I like to use these faders for like post-processing. And like, let's say I want to create automations where I want like the instrumental to like cut out and then come back up at some point. I don't want to have to remember where this is and then have to make it go back to this point. I'd much rather go in here and in the insert before anything happens, hit it with a limiter. Take the ceiling on the limiter, put it all the way up. So it will never limit. Regardless of how loud it is, it won't. Because if it was lower, you see this white? That is it limiting. Not what we want. We don't want that. We also don't want any compression, but by default it's off. So then we're going to take the gain, play it by ear, but usually I like to do like 6, anywhere from 12, 8 to 6. It really depends on how loud the track is. But here, you can see it smacking around that 6. It might even be best to take this down to like an 8. And if you see up in the top left corner, that is where the value is. That's where I'm seeing it. 8.1 is fine. So now it's hitting -9. It's good enough. Good enough, good enough. Cool, 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 cool. Additionally, what we want to do is we want to make sure, let's navigate over to the master track. Unless you go and you say File, New from Template, and you say Empty, by default, and you can see this in General, it's in your General settings, where in here in Miscellaneous, your default template will be usually basic 808 with limiter. I'd recommend just going empty. Empty, 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 always. Is usually the best case because having that limiter, you can just sometimes forget it's on there. You want to add it later for the most part, but especially if you're producing like instrumentals and such, you kind of don't want to clutter yourself with all that. So just make sure your master track has nothing in it right now. So good. We got our instrumental, we have a little bit of dynamics here, but that's just creating some headroom with the gain. What you could also do, what I recommend, is that you go to your patcher. Patcher, patcher, patcher. I love patcher. What you want to do is you want to go in here, and then in your, you see where it says filter? You want to go to mid-side EQ. Mid-side EQ, ooh, baby. Incredible. And it'll pop up to EQ, parametric EQ2s. We got your mid and your side. You got to think about it. So your vocals, your lead vocals, is gonna be probably more in like this kind of area. So we're not gonna fuck with it now. But in the future, we're probably gonna cut it out a little bit, especially where the vocals are in the mid. And in the high area, that's kind of up here is where your sidey kind of sounds are gonna be. So we'll end up ducking it around there. And that's all to play to taste, and it'll be different for every track. It should. And it'll all depend on your vocal tonation and the instrumentation itself. So cool, we got the instrumental here. It's usually a good practice. I also recommend, once you have this, just looking at the transients. The transients are really just like the spikes right here. Let's go over here, let's go snap to bar to make things easier. And I like to arrange the song just with markers. And you could do it by listening, you could do it by ear, but I know that we can right click on this, name it. This is the intro. Cool. And this is verse 1. Not 91, 01. And then over here, it's like a little pre-chorus. Chorus 1. Yep, and then it goes back into a verse right here. And then over here, we got another pre-chorus. Back into a chorus. Pretty self-explanatory, if you ask me. Cool. All right. So we have a basic layout with just the instrumental. Got that there. Now that we already have everything saved, we can just spam Control S, which I recommend you do at all times, whenever possible. Now let's get our tracking ready. So let's go over here, go track mode, audio track like we did before. Pick an insert you like. I prefer like 8 just because it's my lucky number. Change the color to something you like. Red usually works for me just so I know that's the arm track, that's what we're doing. Change icon. You don't have to do all this, but like I said, I just recommend getting it nice just so you can visually see what everything is just by a glance. Let's rename this to just board in. Go here. And what's cool about this methodology of using your channel, your playlist tracks and associate them with the playlist mixers is that in here you can click on the audio input source and boom, all of a sudden we got this. You hear me twice, so I'm going to turn that off. And this little button in the middle will be how you want to, if you want to monitor it. So if you want it always to be on, turn it on, and regardless if it's recording or not, it'll be there. I'm going to prefer off because it won't discombobulate me. You'll also have this record arm, disarm button. So if I press play right now, nothing will record. But if I press this, and then I make sure we're recording with audio, very important, audio. There's so many different options here. And record. Da 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 da. Now we got recording right there. Cool. Right? Wonderful. That's cool if we just want to get that in there. And for the tracking, perfect. But what we're gonna need, what I'm thinking, is let's think about this for a second, all right? Let me get a pretty notebook open, just so we can take some visual notes. Detach it so it can close out the mixer and have everything open right here, always. So traditionally, vocals in my mind break down, zoom this in so you can see it better. When a lead vocal, right? We're also going to want some like supporting vocals, like a left and right, but of the lead. We're going to want the lead, and the lead is comprised of a mid, left, and right. So we're going to actually have a total of 3 channels for the lead within itself. I'll show you what that looks like now. So what you could do is you could select multiple tracks. And we're going to go, it doesn't really matter where, but let's just do 13. And that's going to do the same thing as if you go to your channel and you press Control-Shift-L on your mixer. So let's change this color to like a yellow or something. Cool. We're going to name this lead. Boom. And then this one we're going to do lead, left, lead, right. It might even be best to just go lead, center. This, boom. And if we go over here, we're going to see that that's already pre-set up like this. We're going to take these 3 tracks, route them into a bus. What I like to do is I like to denote it bus beforehand so I could just see all of them. Separator. Change this color to a color that I like to make all of the buses the same color, just so I can always see which ones are the buses where everything's being aggregated towards. Maybe another separator here just for brevity's sakes would be great. Take this and go left already, right already, like that, center, boom, this is going to be monoed. What we could do is if you want to do any like panning or anything later on, you might want to use these pots later. So, usually good practice, go in and add a stereo enhancer for instead of monoing it through the output, getting it mono in the beginning before you do any other mixing, instead of mixing it down into mono afterwards. So treating it mono from the jump. That's always what I recommend. What you can also do is you can go over here and to the lead left. What we're going to do, we're going to add a fruity balance. Keep this normal, and we're going to go center. We're going to move this left, and we're going to take down the volume like 5 dB, something like that, because we're going to want these ones to be the supporting ones. These ones are going to be definitely quieter than, we'll do 6 actually. And what we're going to do is we can rename this just to make it a little pretty, and just say val. No icon is necessary. I'll put like a -6 just so we know. Visually so we know. Before anything happens, we're taking -6 dB from everything. Save preset as, click and drag to the right, move this to right, press F12 to close out of everything so we don't get messy, F9 to open the mixer back up. Cool. We might as well do the same thing for the lead. We don't want the lead to be full. We're going to eventually want to take down and do some ducking in the volume. So let's take this down like -2, something like that. You can adjust this at any point, and I highly, highly recommend that. Cool. Boom, boom, boom. Got that going there. And as you see, now everything we put into left, right, let's just record some demo tracks real quick just so you can hear what's going on. And we're going to record everything on the record in. We don't need to record it on these. No need for that. That's why we have the record in track, so we can go. Yo, I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording. This is the lead vocal. Cool. And we could even go here, and it will actually create a new track. And this is the left track. This is the left track. Yes, I'm recording. We're going to do it one more time. Yeah. And now this is going to be the right track. It's going to sound awful together, but at least we'll know what's going on. Okay, cool. So what we could do is we could just straight up just hold shift, move them down, boom. Yeah. Now this is going to be the right track. Yo, I'm recording. Yes, I'm recording. This is the lead. See what I'm saying? So cool. Let's get something down just so we know what's happening. Okay, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna say like, let's go with these nuts. These nuts. Cool. So actually, it's chorused in a little bit of a way. These nuts. And you see how it sounds so full already? Cool, perfect. So what we're gonna do is as you go, And when you're recording, when you move them down, it's always a good practice to try and cut out the tails. Not like if I were to cut it, we can zoom it in so you can see. This is perfectly fine because this is silence. We're gonna put compressors and limiters and noise gates and stuff on that later at any point. But what you don't want is stuff like this right here. Like this. Don't want that. You don't want that. So you want to cut that out, but you never want to cut it out like here. This is way too close. Do it like here. Give it some room a little bit after. If you need to add a fade, Loops can do that now. Boom, boom, boom. Same thing with the beginning. Like you don't want to cut it too close, but you see like this little artifact right here. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little close, but right there. Let me zoom all the way in. Like this is really just me like taking the breath before in. So we can keep that and then just do this. And now it's still a little bit there, but not really. I'm gonna go view, zoom. Excuse me, zoom, where are you? Oh, I'm sorry, it's not in those options. It's gonna be in the playlist options right here. Zoom. We're gonna go to quick zoom 1. We're gonna hold Alt and scroll, which will zoom in and out vertically. You can also go in here and then say size 100%, view, resize all tracks 100%. That's also another way you could do that. Then you can get some uniformity. Cool, cool, cool. For organizational sakes, we're going to take this center, lead, and right. We're going to group it up here. So boom, we can say right this. Leads. Like this, another black one. Boom. This is also a good busing icon. Got the leads right there. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do that same approach to, let's do Adlibs. But with Adlibs, we're not going to need a center. Not going to need a center. So let's take these two right here. Track mode, audio track. Let's go to like 19 and go Adlib. Change this color. Who really cares? Whatever you like. Just make sure when you have multiple tracks selected and you have these two options, you do the same color if you want it to be uniform. If not, it'll try and create a gradient. Go Adlib, divider right there. We're gonna go Adlib right. Oops. F2 also will rename a track if you have it selected with this little green selection right there. Boom, boom, boom. Let's say Adlibs. I'm gonna make this black as well. Same icon, just so we have consistency. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Cool. If we go back to the channel, let's take these same plugins we already have, and also we can undo these, save them and move them over because we're already using them. Adlibs, though, we're probably going to want to be quieter. So, that being said, let's open up the balance. Let's go to like -9. Sure, why not? We can right click, press copy value, rename it. There's many ways you could do this. This is just my school of thought. So there are no wrong answers here. The only time you're getting a wrong answer is if you are not achieving the goal you intended. Always remember that. Don't let somebody tell you what you're doing is incorrect unless you are not getting what you want. So bus, Adlib, Cool. Change this color, boom, 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 change it to black, like we always do. Make the icon like we always do. Change the icon like we always do. Cool, cool, cool. want to make sure, even though this visually looks like it's busted, it's not. So we want to make sure, move this over to here, route that to that track only. Now we got the ad-libs. Cool, we can move this track just so we can visually see everything that's going on. Whoa. Okay. See, now we got some ad-libs. Hold shift, move them down. Boom, boom, boom. You're kind of seeing the process now. This also makes it easier for punching in and doing whatever you may need to do in the future. Okay. Whoa. These nuts. Let's move it over here so we can hear them both at the same time. And what you might see is, why is everything all the way to the right? All the way to the right. Well, we can shape how big the stereo width is later. We can shape it down and we can bring them in closer, but right now we want it full wide. We want it full wide because if we make too much like 20% in the middle, 30% in the middle, 40% in the middle, 50%, 100%, 80%, all that, you will lose the dynamics of your stereo width, which is not what we want. Okay, these nuts. And well, like I said, we can fix that later. What's important is that we just get a good baseline. Good baseline. Okay, cool. So we got leads, got ad-libs. Let's do a harmony stack. So for a harmony stack, probably gonna want about 4 of them, at least. So we're gonna track, audio track, you know the drill at this point. Merge these into here. We're gonna say harmonies. And I like to do the buses all in caps for consistency. Consistency. So we're going to say harmony. Don't know actually, speaking of consistency, I don't know if these are all caps. They are. Okay. Let's do like a pinky, like a pink. That seems kind of harmony, you know, right? So with these ones, we can just do numbers because we are going to have panning, of course, but it's going to really depend on these ones. Depends on what you need. So for this one, we're going to make our own. We go here. We're going to go here. We're going to rename this. And it's important that we just do this the one time. And if you get this set up, if you can see, you can just drag and drop, open this project up. And obviously, all of these files will be available to you in the description. You'll be able to do whatever you like and update this and modulate it to your own. So if you ever just want to drag and drop an instrumental in, boom, it's there ready to use for you. Okay, so let's add our fruity balance as we always do. And let's take it down like 7. Rename this Bal 7. And purple, consistency. And you'll be able to mess with the panning of these later, however you see fit. That's up to you, entirely up to you. But cool, we get harmonies right there. Lead, ad-lib, harmony. Most of what we're gonna need. We kind of already have dubs integrated within our leads themselves because it's usually best to just kind of summarize them all to get like a big full lead sound. If you want leads, I mean dubs, let's add it just for consistency. You know, everyone's favorite thing, and it should be yours too. Should be your favorite too, because consistency will make everything so much easier for you in the future. We're gonna do dubs. Let's make them like cyan. Why not? Oh, cool. It's not what I wanted that to happen. So we're gonna change color. Yep. We're actually gonna delete this because I don't even want to look at that. Rename this. Boom. Dubs. Right. Rename this. Dubs right. Dubs left. And with the dubs, we can have these all the way left and right. Not a problem. Because with the lead, we're gonna summarize and mix these down into a single sound. So we're gonna end up centering that for the most part, not entirely, but more so than these dubs ever will be, or the harmonies for that matter. Dubs, mix it down, bow, bow, bow. Cool. I don't like how that is a different color of black. Out of here, gotta make that consistent or I will go insane. All right, cool. So that being said, we're gonna go bus, dubs, black. You know what we're gonna do? Yep. Add that. Create a separator. Separated. Move this, boom over here. Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna add this same balance over here. I don't like how there's an extra space in there. Consistency is off. Great. Let's just take this one as well, because now that we've already made this, we can just use the same objects we've already made. Why wouldn't we? Okay, cool. Let's make sure everything is routed properly. Boom, boom, boom. Awesome. So now we have our multiple objects right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do more busing. My favorite thing is busing architecture. I love busing. Busing. I take this over here. It's instrumental, record in, kind of the most important things. You could also do, you take these first like 8. 8's probably a lot. Let's do 5. We're going to right click it and layout over here. We're going to say dock to left. Now, these 5 tracks themselves we can hide because these ones I want to be entirely separated from these middle ones. So let's also take record in and instrumental. Move this, dock these to the left. Well, and we could just move them. Instrumental's really got to be number 1. That's what we want. Record in right here. So now if we hide these, you can see everything else. Don't have to worry about the recorded track. We could get this later. Yada yada. We're not going to use this in the final mixdown anyway. So these 5 tracks we have. What we want is we want vocals. I'm going to say main bus. Vocals. Let's even add like a talking guy or something. Yeah. Make this yellow. Boom. Okay. So now we're going to want to make sure we hold Control and Shift and then click on each of these individual sub buses. We're going to right click here and say route to this track only. Boom. So now everything in these vocals that we've made is going to go and route directly only to this main bus. Like when I say the D's nuts right here.
Okay.
D's nuts. So if I go back and I have that muted, can't hear anything. It's perfect. Because that way we can finally do, like let's say we need to turn down all of the vocals, like 2 dB. That's how you do it. It's right here. Boom. We want to automate it. Cool, that's how we do it. Oh, we want to add a compressor, a glue compressor, just to everything to make it all come together. This is how we do it. That's why we do this busing architecture. So we know and we can separate things and keep them organized. Let's take these 4 tracks and let's actually dock these to the right. We could do the same thing as we did with the left, but now to the right. Let's find a color we haven't really used much yet. It should be like an orange. I'm going to change the icons on all of these. We're going to give it the effect icon. We're going to rename this to send effects or FX. and then an open bracket so we can have these as placeholders. Cool, cool, cool. Now, let's add 4 very crucial send effects plugins. What we're going to want, obviously, we're just going to want general Vox Verb. Cool. We're going to want a delay, Vox delay. And this is just like a regular delay. Let's be a little bit more specific with that. Let's say a step delay. We're also going to maybe want some slap delay to help. And maybe a throw verb, like a big one, or like a chorus or anything. You can make as many as you'd like. This could go on forever. But now we're going to take one of these tracks. Let's move these over. Dock this to the left. Let's actually move these way far down. Way far down. And you can tell I'm moving them by the numbers. And I'm moving them by holding Alt and using the arrow keys left and right. It's important because we kind of want it to be in a linear fashion when we look at the mixer channel itself. And we're going to name this main bus effects. Cool. Change the icon to the effects so we know what they are. Boom, boom, boom. And it's also good practice to just honestly just separate all these so you can visually see the difference of them. If I undo this, it'll boom, boom, boom. Cool. Now, we want to make sure all of these sound effects are going to this bus track. Route to this one only. And let's say we want, let's set these up real quick. What I'd recommend you have in all of these send buses is an EQ. EQ coming into all of them first. And an EQ can double as gain staging for them, the volume, but I wouldn't really recommend that because what you could do is add a balance, fruity balance. Love fruity balance. I love fruity balance. Take them like -6. It's usually a good number. Rename. Val. -6. You know the drill at this point. Save preset as, save preset as, and it's always a good practice to just press every once in a while, especially if you add a bunch of plugins, you see how all these things over here open, and if you press tab, you can cycle through the open tabs, open like VST and plugins. Press F12, F9. Close them all out, open back up the mixer, F5 for the arrangement view if you need it. Cool, cool, cool. So, now that we got this here, let's get our basic verb. At this point, it's up to you what verb you want to use. Fruity Reverb Tube's good, of course. Lux Verb's pretty good. Convolver's great. It's low-key kind of slept on. We're going to use Convolver. Find a preset. Let's do whatever, really. See, it's the illusion of choice. It doesn't really... Not much you can be able to tell from here. Let's do bright warm. But what's most important, and this is the most important part about using send effects, is this dry knob has to be off. It has to be off. We only want the wet signal. We only want the affected signal. We don't want the original signal coming in. So what this will sound like now is let's take all of the Adlibs. Let's click over here. Oh, you can't see it because of my camera. Turn the camera off for a second, just for a second. I want to take all this bus Adlib while you have this selected. I want to click on this arrow. Boom. And now it's also routed to that. Got me? And now, if we open up the arrangement again, pressing F5, over here.
Okay.
These nuts. And you see how it's right here. We can also press right click. Let's do it so you can see it better.
Okay.
These nuts. This is just the reverb. It's a little quiet, so I'm gonna take up this a little bit. Minus 1.7. We can even affect this. We can turn this up a little bit. We can create some stereo separation. I'd be a little bit hesitant when doing all of that. Create a little bit of pre-delay.
Okay.
Cool, and that's just creating room verb, which might even be a better way to phrase this. Let's also do the same thing with these other delays and other effects tracks, just real quick so you understand what's going on. I'm going to try and wrap this up pretty quick here. I'm going to go to the time. You can set this to whatever you'd like. 4-step is usually what I prefer with a little bit of stereo offset to create a boom kind of thing. Dry knob all the way off because it's a send verb. Send effect. Always remember that. Cutoff frequency and volume. Play with this to your heart's content. I would usually keep the volume under 50% and the cut like closer like this. Turn on the input if you'd like, but we're already turning it down with the fruity balance. Really not that important. This would be more prevalent on like Adlibs and stuff, which is where I'd recommend you use this.
Okay.
These nuts. Hear that? We can turn off the lead.
Okay.
These nuts. Hear that? It's slight, it's small, and it's really what effects are supposed to be. It's supposed to be just like little candy on it. Let's also create a slap delay. We'll use this more for like a lead element, and to get this effect, you want to do a ping pong. You want to get your time. You want to get this to like 12 seconds. Point 12. This is like milliseconds, I believe. A stereo offset, dry all the way down, of course. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to route this in to this so I can live hear it. So yeah, let me make sure I get this. Yeah. So here's a slap delay, if you can hear it. Let me turn off my mic in here so you only hear it on Fruity Loops. We can turn this down. We want to keep it up. Yep. Yo. Maybe this up a little bit, like 20. Yeah. And essentially what this is supposed to do, it's kind of like reverb, but it just creates the elements of a space. So if I could turn on this to the reverb as well, it's gonna make it like a large, it's gonna sound like I'm like in a room saying something, you know? And if I had this, which this would be more for like ad-libs. So cool. Let me get my mic up again. All right. So hopefully you can hear me. I hope so. Let's add a throw delay. And for this one, throw verb, I apologize. Just use a fruity reverb too. Turn the dry all the way down. You know the vibes. Early reflection, keep that up a little bit if you'd like. Wet, I'd do this like 100%. And honestly, I'd turn up that stereo separation. The rest of these knobs, it's up to you. I implore you to mess with them yourselves. Maybe turn up the pre-delay just a little bit. I prefer my low cut pretty high and my high cut pretty much off. Just because I don't like bassy reverbs myself. We're going to want the decay time pretty high up here. And how we're going to do this is that you can, in theory, let's say on the lead, right? You can always click on this. You can't see it because of my camera again. You could always click on it and do a hard route, you know, where you just throw the signal in and then you can like automate this value if you'd like. But you can also make this as a true send track and turn this to 0, right? And then in here, in your lead track, go to send. Where is it? There it is, for send. Send to, right click on here, throw verb. Boom. And then this volume right here would be that same knob as down here. You got me? And then with that, you could automate it, which would just be like right here, you say create automation clip. And then like, let's say there's a part where you want to go, wow, like add a bunch of reverb at a big port. That's exactly how you do that. All that being said, we haven't really gone into most of the other post-production, but we don't really need that. We can maybe do an additional video on that later. I could definitely expand upon this, but if you do have any additional questions, please reach out in the comments. I greatly appreciate it. I'm here for you, and I'd like to know what I should touch on for the next video. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great day. Deuce the 9. Super H.